In today's video, I'm checking out the OneXFly F1 Pro with the HX370. Now in the box you get the manuals in all the different languages. You get the custom charger with the custom red cable. And obviously you get the F1 Pro OLED in the red Eva Asuka edition. This OneXFly F1 Pro has the AMD Ryzen 9 AI HX370 CPU and the Radeon 890M iGPU. This one has the 32GB of LPDDR5X RAM with 8300 mega transfers per second, 2TB of NVMe PCIe 4 SSD, 7-inch OLED display, 1080p 144Hz with up to 800 nits of brightness, Hall effect joysticks. It weighs under 600 grams and it has a 48.5 watt-hour battery. Now, on this F1 Pro, you get a USB-A, a USB-C, a 3.5mm headphone jack, the volume up and down, the power button, and you also get a micro SD slot and another USB-C. They do give you a nice case with this if you order from their website. Now this is a slim case and I really like the design and the material. It's not too big or bulky. And yeah, fits in really nice and tight, and I really like the choice they've made here. Now when it comes to the controls on the OneXFly, I've never been a fan of the controls on any of the OneXFly consoles. The joysticks are not full size, and also the buttons don't feel as premium as on the Steam Deck or ROG Ally X. So I'm not really a big fan of the controls on what the OneXFly team has done on this OneXFly. They are, on the other hand, Hall effect sticks, so you don't get drift. It's quite a comfortable handheld to use, one of the more comfortable ones I've used. Even though it's quite small, it's quite comfortable. Now the triggers are analog and you got two linear ones. You do get two extra buttons on the side here. If you double tap the right one, you get Steam Big Picture mode, which is almost like using Steam OS. If you press this overlay button, you get this overlay, and as you can see, you've got all these different options here. So with this, you can control the TDP all the way from 4 watts to a maximum of 30 watts. I usually keep it at around 19, as this is more than good enough. You also get fan mode, so if I press Y, as you can see, I've set up my own fan curve. This is really good if you want to reduce fan noise while at the same time having good cooling. So you've got all these different options here. You also have display settings. So if I press A, you can see I can change the resolution from 1080 all the way to 600, but I usually use 720p for most AAA titles. I've also turned turbo off because CPU boost is not needed and can drain battery life, so it's best to turn this off. You can also control the gyro, so if I turn the gyro on, and as you can see, I can control the mouse with the gyro, and of course you can control any game with the gyro. You also have performance overlay. If you download RTSS and HW info, you can have your FPS information on the top of the screen while you play games, so that's really good. You also have lots of other different options here, so you can control the brightness and the volume. And with the recent update, OneXFly has provided a option here called Handy Kit. So if I open HandyKit, we've got lots of different extra options here, which we did not have before. So for example, you can open Task Manager. And as you can see, you've got your Task Manager running. If you go back to the overlay, open HandyKit, you can open your File Manager through here. So this is really nice, you've got a lot of different options here. You can go to the control panel, you can screenshot folder. And if I go to Windows, then you've got all these different options. So you can return to desktop. You can use all these different settings here. It's quite useful to have everything here on the overlay. So yeah, OneXFly has done some improvements, but still it is not as good as the ROG Ally X or the Steam Deck. But I do really appreciate what OneXFly has done over here. And for most games, I think this is more than good enough. Now let's see how portable the F1 Pro really is. And to be honest with you, this 7-inch handheld console is one of the more portable ones. And as you can see, it can fit into a big pocket like this. So that's really good. Now let me do a quick sound test. Now the speakers on this F1 Pro OLED, they're not as good as the ROG Ally X or the MSI Claw 8. However, if you download a software called FX Sound, the speakers do get nice and loud, as I will show you in this clip. So I'll let you be the judge of the sound. Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through? With this F1 Pro, you do get an OLED screen, a 7-inch OLED with up to 800 nits brightness, one of the brightest screens you can get on a handheld in 2025. Now, as you can see, the colors, the sharpness, and the overall quality of the OLED is just absolutely amazing. And if I tilt the device left and right and in many different directions, you can see you don't lose the colors, so the viewing angles are pretty good too. Now if I increase the brightness from minimum all the way to maximum, I mean, look at that. The colors just pop and it looks absolutely amazing. It's very bright, so at 800 nits, I wouldn't recommend you using it indoors, maybe outdoors if you're outside with the sun shining. So generally, if you're indoors, at about 50% is more than good enough. But you can increase it more than 50 if you want to get really, really bright. Yeah, overall, this is one of the best display on the market. I wouldn't say it's as good as the Steam Deck OLED, because that does have HDR, whereas HDR isn't working currently on this one. So one of the best displays, but only a 7-inch with no HDR and no VRR. But other than that, an amazing display. Definitely a standout feature of this device. The colors are a bit oversaturated, but that's what you get with an OLED panel. For the first performance test, I have Black Myth Wukong at 720p, low settings with FrameGen on, and at 15 watts. It looks like we're in the 90s. This is actually pretty amazing because this game is quite demanding and we're only running it at 15 watts. So I'm very impressed, but let's see what we get overall. But looking at the FPS, it looks like it's going to be in the 90s. Now remember, this is with frame gen on. With frame gen off, it will be roughly half. And even with frame gen off, I mean, 90 divided by 2 is about 45. 45 FPS at 15 watts. This is the best performing handheld currently in the market, similar to how the Z2 Extreme is going to perform. So let's see what we get. And we got an average of 91 FPS. Wow. This is what you can expect from the Z2 Extreme because that's basically the same chip. Now let me increase the TDP to 25. So now we are running Black Myth Wukong 720p low settings with frame gen off at 25 watts. And we are getting well over 120 FPS. That's just insane. So this means with frame gen off, you are getting around 60 FPS, which is absolutely amazing for this handheld console. Remember, the Switch 2, I'm pretty sure, will not be able to run this game at 60 FPS. And that's a console 8 years in the making, you know? And this console, this F1 Pro, has already been out for like 6 months. So what the OneXFly team is doing is absolutely amazing. This chip is currently the fastest in the market. And it's going to be amazing what we will be getting with the upcoming devices, such as the ROG Ally X2 and the Lenovo Legion Go 2. Now we have 119 average FPS at 25 watts. This is amazing. This is by far the best performing handheld currently on the market. At the maximum 30 watts, we are getting similar FPS compared to 25 watts. Now remember, after 25 watts, you get diminishing returns, so the FPS is not going to increase that much, but the battery will be using a lot more power. So I would recommend you guys to never go beyond 25 watts when you're using these handhelds with this chip. You get diminishing returns with less battery life and more heat. So I would recommend you guys stick to 25 watts or under. But at 30 watts, you can see it's not doing so bad, and the temperature is staying at around 83 degrees Celsius, which is okay if you're, really pushing the console to its maximum. Now at 30 watts, we got one more FPS. So diminishing returns. It's best to stick to 25 watts or under for this game.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
So about 27 FPS at 15 watts. Now let's increase the TDP. Oops. Let's increase the TDP to about 25. We get 10 more FPS at 37. And let's increase it to 30. And we're getting about 35, 36. Oblivion Remastered runs amazingly on this device. At only 15 watts, we are getting average 60 FPS, which is amazing. This game is running at 720p with frame gen on, and it's really playable even at just 15 watts because we're getting over 60 FPS. Now I'm just going to increase the watts to 25, and at 25 watts you're getting over 70 FPS. So this is absolutely playable on this device. You're even getting more than 80 FPS at 25 watts. Definitely very, very playable. Now I'm just going to increase the watts to 30, which is the max TDP for this handheld. And at 30 watts you get diminishing returns, so similar FPS, maybe a few more FPS than 25 watts. So if you are playing this game on the HX370 or the Z2 Extreme, I would recommend you to play at 720p, frame gen on at 25 watts or under. Now I'm just testing Portal here. With Portal at the minimum TDP of 4 watts, you get over 60 FPS and you even get into the 70s, which is absolutely amazing. I don't think there's any other handheld that can give you this much FPS with such low wattage. But I wouldn't recommend you to play at 4 watts. I would say at least 7 watts, and at 7 watts you are getting 144 FPS, which is the max hertz on this console at 144 hertz and 144 FPS. I mean, it's insanely smooth. Now I'm running Resident Evil 4, the remake, and I'm running the game at 720p low settings without frame gen. At 15 watts, we are getting around 45 FPS and even going into the 50s and the 60s, which is absolutely amazing, because at 15 watts, which is the max TDP for Steam Deck, it doesn't even get close to 50 in some intense areas, so that really good performance. Now if I increase the watts to 25, the FPS just increases to like the 90s, which is absolutely amazing. At 25 watts, running around 90 FPS, this is more than playable. It's very, very smooth. Definitely a very playable game on this F1 Pro. Increasing the watts to 30, this game gives you a few more FPS, again diminishing returns. I don't recommend you guys to sacrifice 5 more watts for just a few more FPS. It does not make any sense to me. So basically this game is more than playable at 25 watts. Now I'm running Hellblade II, which is one of the hardest AAA games you can play. On the Steam Deck, this game barely gives you 30 FPS, but at 15 watts we are getting way more than 30 FPS, almost, and in fact we are going into the 40s, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, even at 15 watts this game plays quite smoothly actually. Now increasing the watts to 25, and wow, I mean, look at that, we are going into the 50s at 720p without frame gen. This is absolutely amazing. I don't think you can get a better performance on any other handheld right now. This is how this is going to perform on the Z2 Extreme, on the ROG Ally X2 and the Lenovo Legion Go 2. Now increasing the watts to 30, we get on average similar to 25 watts at around 50 FPS, even more than 50 FPS. So yeah, this game is very playable on the F1 Pro with the HX370. Indiana Jones, The Great Circle. At 15 watts, we get around 35 to 45 FPS. Not bad actually, not bad at all. But I wouldn't recommend you guys to play this game at 15 watts because I have not enabled frame gen and it's not very smooth at 15 watts. So I'm just going to increase the TDP to 25 watts, and at 25 watts it's much smoother. We are getting on average over 50 FPS, which is pretty amazing for this game. I mean, this is a AAA game, one of the hardest AAA games currently available, and to get over 50 FPS on a handheld is just nuts. It's just amazing. So yeah, definitely a very playable game on the F1 Pro OLED. Now I'm just going to increase the TDP to the max 30 watts, and at 30 watts we are getting close to 60 FPS, but on average we are getting around 55, so similar to 25 watts. Best to play this game at 25 watts as you are getting an extra 1, maybe 2 FPS while sacrificing 5 watts, which I don't recommend. The battery life on this F1 Pro is not the best because the battery has a 48.5 watt hour capacity, and to be honest with you, in 2025 I would say you need at least 80 watts per hour like the ROG Ally X. So you get an average battery life of about 4.5 hours, and increasing the TDP to the max 30 watts you get under 1 hour. So with this console you're getting anywhere from 4.5 to under 1 hour of battery life. So not the best, definitely something One X player can improve on, but this handheld is very portable, so maybe it is not possible currently to fit a bigger battery because then you're going to sacrifice the size and the weight. The thermals on this F1 Pro are much better than I expected, considering how small and compact this device really is. There wasn't any thermal throttling that I experienced, even at the max TDP. Running Black Myth Wukong at the max TDP of 30 watts, as you can see, I got just under 84 degrees Celsius, which is actually pretty good considering the size of this device. At 25 watts, the temperatures, as you can see, reached 77 degrees Celsius, which is actually pretty decent, and at 15 watts, the maximum temperature reached was 66 degrees Celsius. So what One X player has done with regards to the cooling on this device is actually amazing, especially considering how small, compact, and powerful this device really is. So what do I think? I think this F1 Pro has an amazing OLED screen. It has top-notch performance, it's got a nice selection of ports, it's very portable, quite comfortable to use, and the cooling is really good. Now, I know a lot of people are saying that the price is very expensive, but for me the three main issues is the battery life, the controls, and the small 7-inch screen. Overall, I would say this gets an 8.7 out of 10. It's a great console if you're looking for a portable handheld with an OLED display and the best performance and you don't mind short battery life, then this is one of the best ones currently available. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.